That is a monster. Yeah, g'day folks, you're back again with the big fella, and behind me is a bird feeder, and right now is an introduction into how it came about. When I first came north after moving from Sydney over 20 years ago, so about the turn of the century, we bought a block of land and a house to build on it. But one of the stipulations was that in the contract that we signed before building was that we didn't have any domestic pets like dogs or cats, as we were essentially building on what was a wildlife preserve. So we had a bird, a cockatiel for a while, but then realised what we wanted and couldn't have could easily be replaced by what was around us all the time. And all we had to do was provide for them. And there were a lot of creatures that we brought into the backyard of the new house, but there were over 40 different species of birds, many of which were species found along the east coast, such as king parrots, eastern rosellas, kookaburras, rainbow lorikeets, magpies, etc., and the occasional wild bird flying in for a feed like the long-billed corella, or a non-native like a peachface. All we did was provide wild bird mix for them in the feeders, and eventually more natives came about looking for food, like a small group of swamp wallabies. The feeders started out simple enough. A centre post and a crossbeam was provided for 2 pots to be hung from, which was the basis for the first feeder design, which I called the scales. After a while though, it became obvious that the feeder was becoming overwhelmed with birds and a bigger feeder needed to be made. While the rainbow lorikeets spent most of the time in the native grevilleas we'd planted, extracting as much pollen and nectar as they could, they didn't seem to have much of an interest in the wild bird seed. The other birds would enjoy a mixed diet, getting food from the feeders as much as the plants. So while there was an abundance of food to choose from, more birds seemed to find the feeders, which by now needed to be upgraded. I came up with an idea called the crossroads. This is the basis of the design I still employ today. I made 4 feeders hung from cross arms, and higher cross arms which act as mere perches for the birds, as they're too high for human access. There was a beautiful Sydney bluegum tree that unfortunately died after only a few years, and we made the stump of this the basis for the wallabies to feed from as well. I've made several bird feeders from the Crossroads design, but this one I'm making is by far the biggest yet. And so now we'll go into the details of how this was to be constructed and what was needed to support this gargantuan bird feeder. So this will be kind of a mini-series on what's involved in getting this big bird feeder put together, and yeah, it's quite the ride. So what I'm about to go through right now is a bit of the build as it happened. So this is obviously later. This is kind of after the fact. So I'll kind of be describing everything that goes into the build, how it's all going to fit together, bits and pieces of how the build is being assembled, and finally how we go about actually getting it into the ground, because let me tell you, it's one big bit of kit. A quick update on the cross beams. We've managed to bring them inside and mark them out, just a rough marking. So here we've got X's for where we're going to actually drill through king bolts to put them onto the post. One there and one there. So the sizes of these things are a little bit different. So this one over here is supposedly decorative. Okay, there's no striations down the outside of them. This is smooth. This one's supposed to be structural because it's got all these grooves and striations down there. So what we've got here is 35 by 70. So 35, 70. And this one is 45 by 70. And that one is going to be the lower cross arm. That's 6 meters long. So all the way down here. and the decorative beam is going to be the upper cross arms, which are going to be 2.4 metres long each, and the lower ones are going to be 3 metres. We've got cut points for both of these beams, so that's going to be a 2.4 metre cut right there, and that's going to be a 3 metre cut. So 6 metre and 4.8 cut exactly in half. So that's as far as it's gotten right now. We're going to get the main post, which is going to come in, I don't know, probably tomorrow. You guys are not supposed to be in here. Guys, this isn't home anymore. These guys were here this time last year. Little swallows. What are you doing up there? You can't stay here, you know that. We close the doors and then you're stuck in here. It's not happening. Update on this bird feeder situation. We've managed to get the beam set up pretty much how we wanted to. We've taken all the plastic off. Now what we're doing is driving in the cross arms into the beam, like so. And what we're going to do now is attach that one there, and the other one is going to go across, so it's going to go at 90 degrees. So what we're going to do is have these two there and hang the little feeders off these little eyelets over there, so one across there as well, and got another two going above the next cross arm up there, and that'll go across about there and about here. Try to attach this first cross arm. As it turns out, these bolts are just a tad too short. I mean, we're probably going to get a little bit of thread onto them, but not as much as what we thought. For the other ones, the cross arms aren't that thick, so these ones are 45 mil, the other ones are only 35 mil, so you're able to get through those ones okay, but these ones are a little bit surprising. I thought we had a little bit more thread. Kind of all we've got under there. I don't know if you can see that. You have to work that one on. You have to pierce through the pine. So what we've done now is we've replaced the king bolts for something a little bit more appropriately sized. So the ones we had before were only about 140 mil roughly. The new ones, another 10 mil on them. Actually, it looks like they've got about another 20 mil on them, because they are coming through a lot more proud than what it was before. And we've also got these square washers putting on there as well. So what we need to do is to put the square washers on the cap head side to stop them pulling through the wood, because over time that will rot and it will decay, so it'll actually pull through the wood more. So we need to put those square washers on the other side as well. We need to put the other cross arms on, and we've got to drill the holes for them. Also, we've taken out the center mounted parts for the bracket and put them into more appropriate diagonals for now, until we get more screws. Okay, so this being the final piece of the puzzle, this is a rough diamond shape that I made that's actually going to be representative of the underside of the pole. So the pole will actually face up to it like that. So the pole will actually be running this way, and this will be sitting on top. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drilled holes. I'm going to drill those into the top of the post. The rest of the feeder is actually assembled. I just didn't get enough time to do an update on it. So this being the final piece of the puzzle, as it were, and that's going to be I think it's about 2.6 meters long. So yeah, fairly big. So that'll be going on tomorrow, and I'll do another update when that comes around. Now we've got the top part on. She's secured by 5 rather angry looking hex-headed screws into the top of the post, and this is the completed vision. So what's happened is it's obviously now it's biased more this way, because that plank there is actually hardwood and the rest is actually radiata pine, so it's all softwood. So it's now balanced all further forward. and we don't have any need for this thing anymore. So she's all braced up and ready to go around the back into its final place and get into some rapid set in a hole. That will just about do it. Okay, so we pulled this out after the first bore, and you can see down here, that's the remnants of the last La Nina that we had. So that's all wet at the bottom. So this is going to fill up pretty damn quick if we don't get this done right away. So that's only about 500, maybe 600 mil down. There's the extent of the problem right there. We could probably just keep on boring and then just kind of put in the post and fill it up with rapid set. So this is the whole final. Okay, that is 800 mil right there, and in there is also water. So we're going to pull this out. Now we've got about, was it 300, 350 worth of water. So we're going to need minimal fill with water when we put the rapid set concrete in there. Seat the pole. Okay, she's in the hole, and we're about to do the more permanent part of the job now. We've got it braced at the base to get it nice and level. This is, I think, the biggest bird feeder I've ever built. This is probably about a factor of maybe about a 1 1/4 of what I've ever built before. I'll take about 3 bags of rapid set and going straight into that hole. And I'm hoping we won't need very much water to go in after it, because the water's already in there. After we get those braces off, rapid set will have set, and we'll get most of this dirt back in around it. But we have 3 bags of rapid set in there right now. You can only see 2, 3. There we go. We're just trying to fill up the hole a little bit more, because we've got a little bit of water to get soaked up by that rapid set, which will skin off nicely, I reckon. But until then, we've still got the braces holding it up, and that is dead plumb. So we're happy with how it's actually turned out. And that is a monster. I don't think I've ever built anything this big before. You haven't, that's for sure. You haven't. I guarantee you haven't. It's got to be upwards of 100 kilos in this thing.
Yeah, they're going 9 metre run.
Bloody hell.
Off centre fed.
Yeah, but hang on. That's
only one pipe.
That's one pipe, and it's plastic. Plastic, okay, and a little bit of steel. All right. This thing is solid the whole way through.
That's all steel with it.
All steel?
All steel.
What about the top part of it? That's white. That's pipe.
Yeah, it's pipe, but the plastic is over the pipe for insulation.
Okay, but it wasn't that heavy to lift up though.
No.
No, and nothing like this though. Okay, yeah, it might have been longer, but this is way more dense. Way more.
Way heavier.
It's not hollow. It's solid the whole way through, even though it is just softwood at the bottom. Softwood, 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 and softwood and hardwood. So what we have here is a set of chains that we bought originally. We only had 4 to start with, because we got 4 feeders to hang off the cross arms on the bird feeder. Now what we got is another 4, but because the bird feeder is actually so tall, and they splay these out to their appropriate angles, and they're going to be shortened again, so they're probably going to be about 20 mil, maybe 30 mil shorter. So the only person who can really feed the birds when they're attached to the trays is me. That's how tall they are. So we're going to do a little bit of surgery here. Let's see exactly how that goes. Now what we've done here is to take about half the length off, which is about 9 links, and attach them to this already pre-made, which is 460 mil long, and attach the other 9 links with those hooks to make one mega chain. So that should be enough. I'm hoping it's not going to be too obvious that I've done this, but needs must, you know, it kind of has to happen. So that's going to happen with these ones as well, and we'll make ourselves 4 mega long chains and attach them to the feeders, and then put them up on the bird feeder, and Bob's your uncle. And job done. We have 4 equal length chains to support our feeding pots, a pair of long nose pliers, and more importantly, a willingness to use them. What we've done is to effectively lengthen them by about 1.5 times what they were originally, so that should make a bit of a difference. So these will be the feeders. I'm expecting we'll get quite a few birds around here because there are a lot of them. What we're going to need to do is find a way to attach those into the base or the sides of this. Maybe drill a few holes, triangle type formation, and see how that goes. What we got here is some split pins, which I am drilling into each third of these pot plant bases. We're just going to show you some we made earlier. What we've done is put the split pins in, split them open. Not really secure, but that's about as secure as they're going to get for split pins. So each one of them's suspended on the outside, and that is the length of the chain. So 2 done, 2 remaining. So we'll get into those and we'll finish up for the night. So now we have all of the feeders that have been made up, and they're about ready to hang on the brand new bird feeder. We should have more than enough length in which to hang them and be able to get some feed into the dish, because we'll show you tomorrow just what kind of dilemma we were having. It's a little bit tall to reach. Okay folks, that is the finished product. It's all in the ground, and all the concrete is set. Got to put the dirt in around the base. Up here we've got some fresh feed in the feeders, hanging down nicely. All we're doing now is just waiting on some customers. Well guys, it seems we've got our first takers. It's only been up less than a day, and we've only had the feed out for a little while, and we've got a flock, or let's say a family of pink and greys, and I'm guessing the word will get out very, very quickly. These are the common pink and grey galahs we used to get at the other places we lived at with the same bird feeders. So they're making good use of all the trays. So really happy with that. Got a couple of pink and greys there, and we also have an eastern. Why is he up there by himself? Bit weird. They usually travel in pairs or flocks. It's a bit unusual to see one by himself. So just a quick update on the bird feeder situation. As you can see, they've still got split pins in them. So what we've done, we've found another method to tie these in. We've got some key rings, some stainless steel ones, so they're not going to rust. So there we go. Basically what we've done is to put them in where the old holes were, and you can only just get enough thread through properly. And yeah, that should be just about right, I think. As for the feed, well, they're going through it at a rapid rate. We used to have just pink and greys, maybe some rainbow lorikeets, eastern rosellas. We're still waiting for the king parrots to come by, but we've inadvertently invited some corellas. Stupid bird. We're not too happy about that, so we're only giving them food about once a week, and if they go through it in the first couple of days, so be it. Anyway, so we've done 1 pot, and we're about to do the next 3, so a whole lot of split pins in the bin.